Indy, your father.
They have them.
Dad found out more than he was looking for.
Seamless. Greetings, my movie geeks. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is a perfect end to what I deem the perfect trilogy. The third and final Indiana Jones film that gave us a lighter toned movie far away from the darkness of the Temple of Doom, but also a more comedic based approach to what we had in Raiders. It is also said to be Spielberg's favourite Indiana Jones film, and for a lot of the time it has been mine favourite too. But it wasn't the end, was it? After the formula change of Temple of Doom and Spielberg's late 80s output having mixed reception, Crusade went back to the basics and gave us a formula more akin to Raiders of the Lost Ark. A more playful tone than the previous two, making this the most entertaining of the series. It's definitely the most family-friendly of the bunch, and this comes primarily from the opening sequence. As all Indiana Jones movies, the opening sequence is key to establishing the tone and the pace of the film to come. Opening on the desert where a group of Boy Scouts are lazily touring, they dismount and go off being told not to get lost. Two of the scouts disappear into the caves where they hear noises. Lo and behold, it appears we're about to stumble on our hero, Dr. Jones, on another adventure. The traditional introduction from Raiders showing Indy from the behind wearing his leather jacket and fedora. But this isn't Indiana Jones at all. It's someone else. A treasure hunter discovering a gold cross, and it turns out we had been following Indy since the moment he dismounted from the horse. This is the young Indiana Jones. An excellent rug pull for those who didn't notice that the film was set in Utah in 1912. For the third film, we get a new introduction, and it follows the same style of the previous. Indy thinking he's the smartest person in the room and ending up on the back foot, fleeing for his life and losing the treasure. This mini adventure sets up a lot of key points. We see his father illuminating the Grail diary. We establish their relationship from the get-go, and this will take the rest of the film to become fixed. But little things too, like even when he was a kid, he was trying to find archaeological artifacts to find and place them in a museum, but ultimately losing those artifacts to his opponents. River Phoenix plays a brilliant young Indiana Jones, and each time you watch this sequence, you realise how close we could have been to having a great young Indiana Jones TV show or film, and potentially a replacement for future films. Has that ship sailed now? Is Ford not able to be replaced? I do think so now. The action of the opening is everything you could ask for, tonally different to Raiders and Temple. It veers to the comedic side, but establishes a lot of Indiana Jones' character. There have been films that try to do this, most notably Solo, but here Last Crusade is able to show us how he got his fear of snakes, how he got his hat and whip, and even how he came to get his scar on his chin. Where other films come across as egregious, here it comes across as charming and a nice little addition to the lore. But I should move on from the opening because there's a whole lot more to talk about.
You lost today, kid. But it doesn't mean you have to like it.
Taking a much similar approach to Raiders, we get a clearly defined call to action here. Indy wins the crossback that he's been looking for all his life, and then discovers he's been sent his father's Grail diary. After being picked up and taken to Walter Donovan, an American businessman, an archaeological dig financier, Indy is told that his father has gone missing whilst on the hunt for the Holy Grail. It follows the same trajectory as Raiders did. The two government guys asking about the Ark in Raiders, but this time there's a personal stake in it for Indy. And I feel it's here where we get the heart and why Last Crusade is probably the most satisfying of the Indiana Jones films. The dynamic between Indiana and his father is what keeps this film going. The emotions are played up for laughs But what Spielberg does, he keeps it grounded where both men begin to learn from their past mistakes. A strained relationship between father and sons isn't new to Spielberg, but here we get the humour of the bickering and the genuine care and love that is shared between them.
Are you crazy? Don't go between them! Go between them, are you crazy?
As Indiana Jones was a way for Spielberg to scratch that Bond itch, it was justifiable for Indy's father to be Bond himself, Sean Connery, and even though there's only a 12-year age gap between them, the dynamic between Ford and Connery, and the way they play off against each other, is fantastic.
Thank God. It's fake. See, you can tell with the cross sections.
The story here is a straightforward MacGuffin, and arguably it's one of the best. There have been countless stories and films about hunting for the Cup of Christ, and this one tops them all. Despite following Indy on the hunt for the Grail, it isn't his life's ambition or quest, it's his father's. The MacGuffin may be the Grail, but Indy's quest is to find his father, in more ways than one. Adding Connery to the cast list and giving Denholm Elliott's Marcus Brody a larger role, as well as bringing back John Rhys Davies' Salah from Raiders, the cast gives a strong ensemble that leans heavily towards the comedy. And it's this comedy that feels like a reaction to the negative reviews of Temple of Doom, where the tone and style of Raiders was perfectly balanced. Seriously, it's a perfect film that even Spielberg couldn't top. Raiders was balanced with humour and thrills, Temple skewed into the horror. Crusade seems to be overcompensating the other way for making Temple of Doom too violent and scary. But having said that, Crusade is a solid action comedy, an almost buddy movie where Indy and Jones Sr. travel to get to the Grail first. Another great thing about the Indiana Jones movies is the different characterization we see in the female characters. They're all strong female protagonists, but with completely different roles. Marion is strong, almost a female version of Indy herself. Willie is the classic damsel in distress who screams her way through her scenes, but also grows as a person. Then we have Elsa Schneider, a character who is brought in as an equal to Indy, but is then revealed that she's actually the villain. I remember seeing this and being shocked that it was going this way, betraying Indy and then even betraying Donovan, and then being consumed by greed and falling to her death is an excellent character arc. I know she dies, but it doesn't matter, it's great.
Elsa, don't, Elsa. Elsa, give me your other hand, honey. I can't hold you.
I can reach it. I can reach it.
Elsa, give me your hand. Give me your other hand.
It also leads us into the third time when Indy is seen being fallible, as he ends up in the same position as Elsa, reaching for the Grail while his life hangs in the balance. He has a disregard for his own safety, but he is literally saved by his father, whom he's just saved himself. The imagery, the heart, the lighting, everything in this scene shows how the character Indiana Jones and his relationship to his father has changed. He will leave the Grail behind because he's got his father. Ford's performance here, like in Raiders and Temple of Doom, is iconic. He has settled into the character to a point that it's difficult to see where Ford ends and Indy begins. This is why it will be so hard to replace the actor, if that ever happens.
Search for fact, not truth. If it's truth you're interested in, Dr. Tyree's philosophy class is right down the hall.
Making this third film more humorous works in its favour too, because you can have moments like Indy killing several Nazis with one bullet, followed closely by a scene where we see Henry Jones Sr. get shot and be on death's door.
You know something, Dr. Jones? You're absolutely right. Dad.
The emotional beats tie closely to the humour, and this, as it has always done in the series, makes you care for what is happening on screen. It's interesting that Spielberg looks back on this after making Schindler's List and is embarrassed by the portrayal of the Nazis. This being one of the reasons why they didn't return for Indy 4. But we can see that this film is representative of Spielberg in his youth, and that they were just a way of him being able to blow up Nazis.
Henry, the pen.
What?
But don't you see? The pen is mightier than the sword.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is a fantastic film. It closes off the trilogy in a perfect and fitting way. The third outing is Indiana Jones coming back to its roots, following a similar theme as Raiders after the changes they did to Temple. But it's also the character of Indiana Jones coming back to his roots and reconciling with his past and his father, linking with Spielberg's own feelings of paternal absenteeism and giving it a heartwarming reconciliatory tone. It is mirrored in how the elements of this film have returned to the themes and style of the original. It's a homecoming for those who didn't enjoy Temple, and it's a reward for those who stuck it out and loved them all. It's the end of a series of films that have gone down in history as some of the best. Indiana Jones, Henry Jones Sr., Marcus Brody and Salah have found enlightenment on their quest and are literally riding off into the sunset. The camera lingers, the music swells, and the credits roll. And we realise, as an audience, that this is the last shot that we will see of Indiana Jones. And it fills us full of sadness, but also we feel fulfilled because all of these films are perfect. It's a great closing scene to a great film trilogy. But sadly, it wasn't the last film. Thanks for watching. I'm Nate, the Ultimate Movie Geek. Please, if you like this, please like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Damn, I thought that was closer. Come on.
Eva! Jetzt noch to get out of here alive. Block the exit!